Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Relationship Circle podcast. I'm your host, Beck Thompson, and this podcast is all about getting you to stop running in circles, ditch those dating games, and let your inner compass lead the way. Today, I want to talk about a real topical issue, and that is Tinder's new height filter. Now, this is only for paid users, which I don't always advocate for, but I think it's a very interesting thing because they've brought it in, they're saying, because of what women are demanding to have on the app. So let's talk about it. Like, is it useful? Is it meaning that our dating preferences are becoming too rigid? I'm all for getting your list, and you'll always hear me advocate for that. And mainly because I work with a lot of women whose list is like 4 things and I'm asking them to ask for more as opposed to ask for less. But let's talk about height, because I think that this is something that we're actually using as a way to avoid vulnerability. And I know that might sound like a big stretch, but let's get into it, because I think this is a very interesting topic and something to explore, because you're actually cutting out a lot of the market when you put on a height filter. So for those of you who don't know, Tinder has recently introduced a filter for the paid users to allow you to filter by height. And what a lot of women are doing, in fact, I think it's like 80% of women say that height matters in dating. This is a massive, massive number. And what they mean in that a lot of the time is 6 foot and above. So a lot of these women, the percentage is very high, even if I've got that wrong, around the amount of women that are looking for men 6 feet or higher. I was about to say older. And actually, statistically, in Australia, and I'm sure this is similar to around the world, but in Australia, only 15% of Australian men are over 6 feet tall. So you're cutting out a massive, massive part of the market here. So is height really a deal breaker for you, or is that something that you're wanting to compromise on and you would love someone tall, but if they're not, does it mean that they get cut out of your list and what you're looking for? That is the real question that I want you to ask yourself as we're kind of going through today. And, I'd love to hear from you. I did ask on my social media around, like, is height important? What does it matter? Like, is this something that you use to filter? Is it something that you've used to cut out certain groups of people in the past? Or is it not important to you? And I got an interesting response in terms of, like, a lot of people said, yeah, it has been in the past. Now I'm questioning it, or no, I've never thought about that. And height is not important. So a wide range of people in my sphere said that, but I would love to hear from you guys around, like, is height important to you? Do you think it's about this attraction? Like, is height part of the attraction to someone, and does that exclude them if they don't have that? Or is it like exclusionary and a little bit shallow? I don't know. I'd love to hear from you around what you really think about that. So ultimately, if we've got 80% of the women looking for people that are 6 foot and above, and we've got 15% of men that can provide this criteria, we're filtering for the top 10 to 15% of the population, right? And are we setting ourselves up for disappointment? Are you looking for this kind of needle in a haystack? Like, I once had a client say to me that they were looking for this, like, the one person, and that for me, I was like, what do you mean? You think there's one person out there for you? And they were like, yeah. And it really blew my mind, because I thought, if you're looking for one person, where is that one that is literally a needle in a haystack. And, like, I remember watching The Amazing Race America, and they were searching for a needle in a haystack. Literally, this guy was there for 8 hours and they still didn't get it, and they got kicked out of the competition. Total side note, but it's very difficult to find that if that's what you're looking for. So is height a way that we're excluding a massive amount of the population? So where does this kind of come from? I've done some thinking around this, and I think a lot of it is that women underlying, when they're looking for a partner, are looking for someone that can provide, and this is very generalized, I get it, but are looking for someone that can provide safety and security, and particularly someone who's kind of got them when they have kids. People don't always realize this, but a lot of the people that I talk to, when I say, like, what is underneath your need for for wanting them to have money. Like I had a client, we're talking about a partner being a breadwinner in her life. And I was like, why is that important? Like, what does the money represent? And I sometimes think that height represents this idea of masculinity or this safety and security underneath this. And it kind of taps into these like hidden underlying psychological drivers, such as like feeling held or protected or chosen by that person. But often this is like this outdated or not really useful fantasy that exists when a person who could be shorter can also provide that for you. But sometimes we don't realize that our brain is making that connection between something like height or money or status, that's linked to what we believe that provides, when in reality that's not always the case. It's not, there isn't this like scientific link between it, but often what our beliefs are, or what this idea of sometimes even, I still really believe that like TV, movies, Hollywood, The Bachelor has a lot to play into this scenario, because I don't think I've ever seen a show like that where the woman is taller than the man. So I think this is often plays into these beliefs that we don't even realize are there. So I suppose I want you to ask yourself, like, if this is a thing for you, if height you feel is really important and is something that you're not willing to compromise on, like, where does that come from? What is this preference rooted in? Like, what is it that I'm really searching for? What does the height represent? And is it based on compatibility? Is it based on me needing it? Or is it based on me trying to control the outcome by thinking if I get this, this will provide this, when in reality, that's not the case. And earlier on, I said that this is a way to avoid vulnerability, right? So if we use these shallow or ways, visible ways, I suppose, of looking at people, like their height, their hair color, even their like job or their status or those kind of things, it can appear surface. So is that a way of us avoiding that vulnerability with them? Because what makes a relationship last, and remember I've worked with couples for many, many, many years, is that it's not that you were that tall. That's not what made the relationship successful. It is that you had that vulnerability, you had that emotional closeness, you had that connection, you were able to be there for each other, you had good communication, you had to do conflict. Like, for me, these are the important things to look out for in a relationship, not specifically height. Not that I'm yucking your yum. If height is your thing, that's fine. I just want you to question what is underneath the need for the height. So sometimes we might think that we're being clear in asking for that list and that person over 6 foot, but what if that's just putting walls up, right? So my whole point around this is let's just question things for you. Let's just try and get underneath what is existing here. Because what if a guy showed up and he was 5'9" and he was emotionally available and compatible? Does that mean he's gone? Like, let's get real about this. And sometimes I think that by applying these superficial reasons, we're prioritizing this chemistry over compatibility. And again, getting sold this lie that we're meant to feel this rush of butterflies and excitement and fall in love and be head over heels and he's coming to save you whenever you first meet someone, right? So I think that, again, just question, is this what's happening for you, or is this what you really want underneath it all? I think the biggest way to reflect is I am not against you having a list. I will always ask you to trust your intuition over a list. But I think that when you write a list about what you want in a partner, it's just so you can get clarity and so you can understand that, well, one, kind of so you don't get driven away by this, like, the chemistry. Oh my God, we got along so well and there was fire, and that kind of sometimes makes it hard to kind of see like what's actually happening there. So I think the list sometimes can be grounding, but importantly in the list, you have to come up with what you are willing to negotiate on, what is a deal breaker for you. And always question why you've got that on your list. What does it represent? Like, I don't just ask people to write a list. I want to understand the list. Like, what is your need for financial security? Why is that important to you? What is your need for them having blonde hair? What does that mean to you? Like, really dig deep into what these mean, and are they negotiable or are they deal breakers for you? And then make sure you're making space for real love, for love that's going to last longer than 5 minutes, not creating a fantasy, right? You want to create a space for real love and a relationship that can survive beyond superficiality. It's really important that you want to get vulnerable underneath all of that. So I wanted to reach out and say that if this episode hit home, I'm running a masterclass on the 1st and 2nd of July, and I would love you there. I'd love to chat if it's suitable for you. And so you can gain that clarity and confidence in dating. All right, I'll see you next week. Thank you so much for listening to the show. If you got value from this, please don't hesitate to share with a friend so they can get value from this too. And don't forget to hit follow so you don't miss an episode. It's also how I keep this podcast alive.